Donald Trump is watching Sean P. Diddy Combs' latest request for a $50 million bail. And Ghislaine Maxwell is kind of intricately woven into that watching. I think they're giving the judge one last time to play fair. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into some of the straight game.
Life is like those cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. It's your boy Delray Richardson, platinum artist, platinum songwriter, Straight Game TV. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate your time. Do me a favor. Click on what appears to be the thumbs up button. Also, subscribe to the channel. And like I always say, if you want to be one of the first people notified when I drop some of this straight game, please do me a favor and click on what appears to be that little bell notification right below this video. I'm going to get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Diddy is never a man to give up, right? And the crazy part about this is you have to really look at this for what it is. Now, right after the case was settled, Diddy was found guilty of the two Mann Act charges, right? The judge didn't let him out. Now, and the judge came up with his own reasoning as to, unilaterally came up with his there's nothing that the defendant could show me right now that could make me want to give him bail. Now, I thought that was sufficient, but not fair. And the reason why I thought it was not fair was because this was Diddy's first offense, if you will, right? So in the first offense, okay, I understand the situation with the casting in the video at the Intercontinental Hotel. I get all of that, right? But we're talking about what he was charged with versus what he was convicted of. Okay? The Mann Act. So let's get into this straight game, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, it's your boy Delray Richardson. You're locked into another heavy-hitting episode of Straight Game TV, where the truth cuts through the noise like a blade, right? Smash the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment below, because we're diving into the headlines they don't want you talking about. Gotta understand that. Listen, today's episode, it's wild. We're talking about Sean P. Diddy Combs, sitting locked up in Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center, still swinging legally from the ropes after his arrest last September on serious charges, sex trafficking and beyond, right? But now he's back at it. Diddy's back at it. His legal team is pulling another Hail Mary, trying once again to get him out of jail while he waits for his October 3rd sentencing, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into it. Got to understand this, right? So this is Diddy's team's legal strategy, a $50 million bond offer, the same amount that he's suing Ariel Mitchell and the other young man for defamation. Courtney Burgess is the guy's name. And so look, let's keep it real. Diddy's legal squad ain't light. His legal squad is not light one bit. They heavy, right? He's got a dream team of 10 attorneys led by Mark Agnafalo and Teeny Garagos. And they just submitted yet another letter to Judge Aaron Submaranian, offering a $50 million bond secured by his Miami mansion, plus travel restrictions and limited contact with witnesses. Ladies and gentlemen, you got to understand this. I'm going to tell you why this is so important, right? But this ain't the first time they've tried this. Matter of fact, it's about the third or fourth time. All the previous motions have been denied. Remember what Donald Trump says, and we're going to get into that in just a minute. Now they're saying the case is unique in the history of the Mann Act. They claim this prosecution is like nothing ever seen before, especially for a consensual adult swingers lifestyle. They're throwing around words like morality, racism, and misogyny, right? Trying to paint this as a modern lifestyle criminalized by an ancient law from 1910. You got to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the Mann Act, originally called the White Slave Traffic Act, is over 100 years old, and they're arguing it don't fit this case. It basically doesn't fit this case, right? The charges, the verdict, and what's next. Let's talk about the facts. On July 2nd, in New York City, the jury found Diddy guilty on 2 lesser charges: transportation to engage in prostitution, not the big ticket items like sex trafficking and racketeering conspiracy. He beat those. That's, we got to stick with the fact. He beat those, right? So if convicted on those harsher counts, Combs would have been looking at life behind bars. Instead, he's likely to get 2 or 3 years, possibly less with time served. But even if that partial win, even with that partial win, his team is trying to spin this into a full exoneration. The defense said, quote, "This is what Diddy lawyers said." And you got to understand why this is so important. And you're going to hear it in just a minute. Combs should not be in jail for this conduct. He may be the only person in the United States currently incarcerated for hiring an adult male escort for him and his girlfriend when he didn't even have sex with the escort himself. Let that sink in for a minute. I'm going to tell you again. They're saying that Sean P. Diddy Combs should not be in jail for this conduct based on the fact that he's the only person that they know of, right, that is in jail for hiring a male escort for him and his girlfriend when Diddy himself didn't even have sex with the escort himself, right? Most people would say that's a crazy legal angle, but will the judge buy it, right? Think about this, and I want you to understand, because Donald Trump is listening carefully and watching closely. And Ghislaine Maxwell is, like I said, we hear all the stuff about the Epstein situation and the House of Representatives denying her immunity if she would testify before them, or in regards to testifying as to what she know about the Epstein situation. I guess it would be in relation to Donald Trump. But listen, federal silence, the Trump pardon tease, and the bigger picture. And here's where it gets a little bit deeper. The Southern District of New York, SDNY, ain't said a word yet. That's strange, right? Especially since this is the same office that's been rattling over the Donald Trump since Donald Trump slid back into the White House this January, right? Oh yeah. And let's not forget, lead prosecutor Maureen Comey just got let go a few weeks ago. So you got to understand what's going. So they're trying now. The fact that Maureen Comey had just got released a few weeks ago, this is another try at a bite at the legal apple. So now, the motion that they just put forward, this comes after her firing. Now, very key, it's going to be very closely scrutinized what the SDNY prosecutors come back with, trying to knock down this motion, if you will, or their answer to this motion, right? So listen, especially, this is the same office that's been rattling ever since Donald Trump slid back into the White House this January. Oh yeah, let's not forget, the lead prosecutor in the Diddy case, Maureen Comey, was just fired. Now here comes Trump talking about maybe giving Diddy a pardon. Let me read this quote for y'all. Y'all ready? I want you to understand. Check it out. You got to understand. Look at what the bail situation is involving. It's after Marine Comey has been fired. This is a statement, a quote that Donald Trump made. He says, I would certainly look at the facts if I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me. Right? I want you to think about that part. So, as far as pardoning Diddy, if Donald Trump, let's say it like this, if Donald Trump sees Diddy third or fourth bite at trying to get bail, putting restrictions in place, this being his first charge, they keep on rattling or talking about this violent prone and everybody's in danger, woo the boogeyman, and all of these things, right? Like I said, for a first-time offender in dealing with the Mann Act, right? Donald Trump can view that as being mistreated. He can view anything as being mistreated. Let's not only just go with that, but that in particular. Like I said, for the fact that, for the reason that the defense laid out, like I said, Diddy didn't even perhaps have intercourse with the male escort himself, right? I'm gonna tell you, you gotta stay tuned for the Art of Dialogue. He got something real good coming up. So y'all might want to tune in to, like I said, he got something good coming up, and you're gonna see what I'm talking about soon. But check this out. I need you to understand this. Donald said, what? I would certainly look at the facts if I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me. He would consider a pardon, right? He's dangling that carrot. You know Trump. You know how Trump moves. Always teasing, always keeping his options open. Diddy and Trump go way back. And the All About the Benjamins connection might be more than just music now. Could Trump really come through with the pardon? It's possible. He's done wilder things. And let me tell you why. Look, it's one thing, you know, to try to hold Diddy, you know, want to make people examples and all of those things. Like Diddy was convicted of the Mann Act, 2 counts of the Mann Act, ladies and gentlemen, in relation to what appeared to be and what was testified to as 2 of his girlfriends hiring male escort workers to engage in a certain sexual activity, if you will. Now, okay, they tried for the RICO, they tried for the sex trafficking, they failed. 2 of the lessons, right? We're supposed to be looking at the charges that he was actually convicted of. Not what people want to be feeling, not what they think possibly could happen, not, you know, something that he wasn't convicted of. So if you're going by the law, is what they usually say they like to go by, we're going by the law, right? Then Diddy should be let out on bail. He should have got bail. Point blank, period. Like I say, all of the fear mongering and all of this other stuff that they've been trying to do, like I said, I'm talking about just the law. I'm not talking about, you know, in favor of Diddy and speaking for Diddy and all of these, you know, other people who were running around thinking that they were going to get what their dreams and hopes were as far as what the court was going to decide and what the jury was going to decide, ladies and gentlemen. I'm talking about the law. 2 counts of the Mann Act, right? First time offender. He wasn't pimping and pandering. He wasn't doing none of those things. He engaged in basically what they're saying in prostitution. Okay. It happens every day. And that's what his defense team is basically arguing. So now, Donald Trump, I'm sure, is watching this very closely. The man is offering up his Miami mansion, $50 million. You know, they've let people out of jail for murder on bail before. Right? Manslaughter. They've let people out of jail for worse than what's going on right here. You know what I mean? And so, like I said, but it's at the judge's discretion. But if Donald Trump feels like that the judge is not being fair with Diddy, right? They just actually the DOJ made a complaint about a judge that was dealing with Donald Trump in his situation. I don't know if the complaint is ethical or not, like I said, but it happened, right? We know when the judge does not agree with what Donald Trump, or he feels like a certain way, he can, come after him in what seems like revenge or whatever, right? I don't know the legal ramifications or the legal reasoning behind what happened, but I think it was Judge Boasberg, if you will, from that perspective, right? Now, so could Trump really come through with the pardon if he feels like this last bite at the apple, this last bite at the bail apple, if you will, does not come through? And it's like I said, once again, he has lawyers in his ear, like I said, he has very smart people in his ear as well, right? So now, what does this mean for hip hop power and the perception? Look, whether you think Diddy is innocent or guilty, this case is setting off alarms across the industry. We got a powerful black mogul, one of hip hop's richest figures, getting hung up in the federal court. You got federal prosecutors pushing for charges rooted in over a century-old law. And now we got a former president possibly stepping in to save the day. A former president as well as the current president, right? Stepping in to possibly save the day. You can't make it up, ladies and gentlemen. You can't make it up. It's a reminder that power protects power, but not always. Diddy's not just fighting for freedom, he's fighting for his legacy, for influence, for survival, right? You got to understand that. And come October 3rd, we're going to see if that $50 million dollar mansion, Miami mansion, that 10-attorney team, right? And the connection to Trump can buy him any grace. Like I said, you already know. This is Straight Game TV, ladies and gentlemen. Like I say, no filters, no fluff, just the facts. If you got any kind of feeling towards Diddy, right or wrong, right? Tell me what you think in the comments. Because like I said, it's about to get real. I think they're paying. I think, like I said, somebody done reached out to Trump. You know what I mean? Say, look, try to get, I'm just, this one right here is a speculative one right here. They reached out to Trump. They said they won't even give him bail. Okay, they said, well, look, try for bail one more time, right? If he's denied bail, I'm going to give him a pardon before the sentencing. Listen to what I'm telling you. I'm telling you because, like I said, these charges are not that serious from the perspective of the information that we learn and the testimony in the courtroom, ladies and gentlemen. The charges were not that serious. The violence, the domestic violence, very serious. Very serious. We do not want to, belittle that. Like I said, once again, Diddy and his team, they owned up to that when they had their closing arguments. So they didn't run from that either. Like I said, if they said if this was domestic violence that he was being charged for, my client would have pleaded guilty, if you will, right? You know? So like I said, you already know. Straight Game TV, we do no filters, no fluff, just the facts. If you got thoughts on Diddy's latest legal play or Trump's pardon tease, drop your comments below. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the bell so you don't miss an episode, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, I'm just bringing you straight facts, and follow us across all platforms, Straight Game TV. I'm your boy Delray Richardson. Once again, please drop a comment under the video. This is, and remember I told you, they watching. They trying for bail one last time. I think if they don't give Diddy bail, and I'm saying it here, and this is, and I can tell you when I'm guesstimating or speculating, right? This one right here. But I'm guesstimating and speculating that if they do not give Diddy bail, Donald Trump will pardon him before the sentencing. And there will not be any sentence. and his record will be wiped clean. Point blank, period. He'll give him a full pardon, ladies and gentlemen. That is my prediction. Like I said, once again, I may or may not be right. But like I said, more importantly, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Your boy Delray, straight game.
Life is like the cards. It's not what you dealt, but how you play it. Play each situation correctly. I remember they used to laugh at a brother.